Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and here I have the Prada phone from LG. This is actually the third version of third Prada phone LG have launched, so they've got a proven track record of working with Prada. So we're going to have a quick look at the handset. I'm going to come back to it in a second. I just want to do an unbox of the rest of the accessories that come with it. As you can see, the box itself is pretty attractive. Sort of this leather effect on the outside certainly looks the part, and inside everything's kind of covered with this sort of velvet effect finish. Here we have the user manual, which is pretty weighty, and inside there also is the guarantee and all that kind of stuff. I won't bother to open that just at the moment. We'll have the battery, which as we have a listed capacity is a 1540 milliamp hour battery, quite large and feels quite weighty. Going to need that in just a moment though. Also we have the charger. Even that is fairly attractive looking. So UK 3pin plug with a USB connector on the back. We also have a set of headphones, or in actual fact a wired headset. So on the one end we have the 4-pole 3.5mm jack, length of cable, and then an inline microphone there with a push button, just a simple push button affair, and then the headphones themselves, which do look kind of funky and stylish and are quite weighty. We'll comment on those when we come to do our review as to how good the quality of the actual headphones is in use. They do look kind of cool. And then last of all, one more packet, which contains a standard USB to micro USB charge cable, obviously for connecting the phone to your computer, or indeed using it in combination with a charger to charge the thing up. So let's look at the handset itself. It's a pretty large handset, and it's quite thin. It's kind of a slab, and it looks reasonably attractive. On the back, again, it has this sort of almost like a leather effect on the back, which is it's just plastic, it's just textured, so it hasn't got a like a soft finish to it or anything else, but it just has a little bit more of an interesting back to it than say just a plain untextured back, so that's kind of cool. On the front we have a 4.3-inch display, 480 by 800 pixels, capacitive touchscreen. In actual fact it's a Nova Plus touchscreen as well, so it's extremely bright, allegedly 800 nits in terms of brightness, but we'll look at that in a moment. We have a forward-facing 1.3 megapixel camera for video conferencing and that kind of stuff. And then taking a look around the handset, we have buttons on the side, which basically I think are going to be up and down volume control. On the bottom, we have, in actual fact, we have a little plastic protector there that will just peel off because it kind of doesn't look very neat and tidy. So on the bottom there, it kind of looks like we have two charging points. So perhaps there will be a sync charge or docking type connector, but in actual fact that might just be decorative. But there is a microphone in the centre. On the right hand side, really nothing to see. Again, there is this sort of protective film on there which I'm going to peel off because it's kind of got dust under it or something, because it doesn't look great. So let's just peel that off the side there eventually. There we go, looks a bit better. So actually the sides look like a sort of a very dark metal finish, sort of a black metal finish, which is kind of cool. On the top, again, we have these sort of buttons. I think the ones on the bottom are just decorative, but on the top we have actual physical buttons. They do press, and there is a sort of tactile response from pressing them, so presumably power buttons and stuff like that. Have a cover over the micro USB sync charge connector, which is nice, and that's a really nice quality cover as well. It feels like it's quite secure, doesn't feel like it's about to fall off or break either, so that's kind of cool. Then we have the 3.5mm headphone connector, which we can use our own headphones, or indeed you can use the supplied 3.5mm headphones and wired headset that comes with it, but it's pretty typical anyway these days. On the back we have an 8 megapixel autofocus camera with an LED flash. I already mentioned the textured back, which is kind of cool. There's a loudspeaker there as well. Back cover should pop off somehow. I think it just literally does peel off like so. That reveals obviously a large cavity there in which the battery sits, like so. The SIM card socket is there as well, and then we have a micro SDHC memory card slot there, so we can actually use up to 32 gig micro SDHC memory cards are supported. And we'll just pop the back cover on. If we get it around the right way, it will help. And that just kind of snaps in place. It is a plastic back, but once it's in place, it does feel fairly secure. And again, it's quite a thin looking handset. If I guess at one of these buttons for powering on, there we go, we'll just power up. And while we start up, let's just run down the rest of the specification. In terms of the size, it's 127mm from top to bottom, 69mm wide, and just 8.5mm thick. Weight 138 grams, but I think because of the size of it, in the palm of the hand, it does feel quite light. I guess because the weight is distributed over more of your hand, but it feels quite lightweight, which is pretty cool. Specification in terms of the OS, we are running Android 2.3 Gingerbread. That may disappoint some people that it is only Gingerbread and only 2.3 rather than maybe ice cream sandwich or anything like that, but nevertheless that's what we have here. And on the display here we can see the actual number, code name, or whatever you want to call it. There we go. The actual model number is the LG P940, but obviously we know it as the Prada phone. Internal memory, we have 8 gig of internal memory that we can use for storing photos, videos and all that kind of stuff. We have a 32 meg or 32 gig capacity on the micro SDHC memory card, 1 gig of RAM and 512 meg of ROM. Got a dual core processor running at 1 gigahertz, so the OMAP 4430 processor, and the 800x480 display, as I say, is a Nova Plus display as well, which again should make it extremely bright and clear. We have built-in Wi-Fi supporting 802.11b, G and N standards, and Bluetooth 3.0. The camera on the back does support 1080p video recording, which is again quite cool. And we also have built-in GPS, assisted GPS, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty well-spec'd handset, and it's quad band for GSM and tri-band for HSDPA. So it's going to work pretty much most places you're going to take it if you're actually going on holiday, travelling, that kind of stuff. That'll work quite well. The user interface, which we're going to take a look at in just a moment, is a custom skin for a Prada user interface. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So we're going to continue setting up. As you can see underneath now, just popped up there for a moment, and if I just do that there, you can see the capacitive touch buttons on the bottom. So you have basically menu, home, back and search down the bottom there, which are pretty straightforward and standard, but they only light up at certain times. And we'll go ahead and turn on Wi-Fi, and we'll connect to a Wi-Fi network. Nice large QWERTY keyboard, as you can see underneath there, and with that 4.3-inch display you have got a decent size QWERTY keyboard. One thing that sort of springs to mind about it, just sort of as an initial reaction to it I guess, is that the phone is pretty large. There is a sort of big border at top and bottom, which does make the phone larger than perhaps the 4.3-inch display would suggest. You could probably make a 4.3-inch screen phone smaller than this one, undoubtedly, but nevertheless it does make it feel like a larger phone. You could probably fit a larger screen in there if you really wanted to, so that's just kind of an observation. So let's go ahead and connect to the wireless network. And there we go, we're obtaining an IP address and we are connected, so we can progress here. Google account I'm just going to skip for just a moment, and it's going to try and set up email again. I'm just going to skip past this in just a moment. I can also set up Facebook, Twitter and MySpace accounts for social networking. Again, I'm going to skip this just for the moment, and there we go, that's saying that the phone setup is complete. And it tells me about pinch to zoom on home screens and adding items to the home screen with empty space, so we'll go look at that too in just a second. So here we have the custom skin. As you can see, everything's black and white, and well, I guess that's a fairly sort of typical colour scheme, if you like, for the Prada stuff. But we have a weather widget here on the main display. which it doesn't know my location, so it's not updating. Underneath we have browser, music, gallery and camera, and then phone, contacts, messaging and applications. The ones at the bottom stay there, they're fixed in place because you always want to get to your phone and contacts, I guess, but the other ones are actually shortcuts that change. So we can swipe across, Google search with voice search, email, alarm clock, rich note and Android Market. Then we have the calendar widget. Again, that looks really quite attractive. I'm really digging the black and white display, that's kind of cool. And then we have a blank area here. Do we wrap all the way around? No, we don't, so we have to come back the other way. Then we have favourite contacts and a music widget there. We have the social networking. I guess it's kind of a bit like, well, it's very similar in terms of interface to HTC's user interface really, but that's kind of cool. And then we have another blank one here. Holding on the home screen here, we can actually get into the additional settings, so we can add in additional widgets. So we could add in a battery widget over here, and there we go. And then we can move it around, so we should be able to move it around. There we go. There we can move it around, and because we have this grid as well, it shows us where we can actually place it. It's kind of straightforward, but then we touch it, we actually get into the actual widget itself, launches it off, and we can add additional widgets. So let's go in and add, maybe let's add the news widget as well. We'll pick that one. We actually got a preview of the news widget, and there we go. So we've added additional widgets. And once we finish that, once we've actually finished customizing the display, we turn the grid off, and that's the new widget in place. We can also pinch, there we go, and we have this overview or kind of helicopter view of the widgets and applications running on each of those displays. So we can switch displays there, or we can actually go back to home screen. Double tapping home doesn't actually take us into the helicopter view. I guess it's kind of cool to see things that are running, or widgets that are running on all these different interfaces, but I really do question how useful that is as a feature, but there we go. Browser we'll take a quick look at. The browser should be quite good, and with a large display it should be quite effective. So let's go over to our site, and as you can hear, there is a click on every key press. There we go. We head over to our site. Seems to be loading relatively quickly. Got progress bar moving rapidly along the top. We are obviously using Wi-Fi and over a broadband connection, but page loaded rather quickly, rendered nicely and quickly. Display really is quite good actually, quite impressive. It is bright, as it would suggest, as we have a 800 nits in terms of display brightness, and it does look quite clear and sharp. Even the small text at the top there and in the articles is legible, perhaps not really quite so much on the recording that I'm doing here with the camera, but certainly it's fully legible. If I rotate around this way, obviously we can then view it in landscape or back to portrait, and it really does update the rotation pretty quickly. Double tap to zoom into an area, double tap to zoom back out. It all works rather nicely. Scrolling's nice and fluid, no problems at all. We'll come back out of there. We'll take a look at some of the other applications that are installed. So there we go, let's take a look. We can collapse the applications apparently. There we go, so they're in categories. So applications are in one at the top. We've got an app manager, backup, restore browser. The only thing with the black and white icons is that perhaps it does make it a little bit more difficult to determine what they are, and it may take a little bit more getting used to in terms of identifying those icons versus those that are in colour. But I guess you get used to it. Built-in FM radio there, as we can see there's an application for that. Desk home, it's kind of cool. Desk clock, so that's kind of fun. LG Smart World, there's a VPN client, that's pretty useful. Polaris Office, NFC, so we have near field communication support as well, so that's kind of coming into a lot more handsets anyway. Get a settings menu. I'm going to the phone menu as well here because obviously people want to see what the phone dialer looks like. Really large keys there, makes dialing numbers simple pimple. Then you got your call log, contacts and groups. Obviously nothing set up as yet because I've synchronized it with no account, so that's kind of cool. Remote call is also there, finance, car home and a few other bits and pieces. But what I really want to do is from here I want to go into Android Market and go ahead and actually add my account and sign in. So let me just do that. So let's just sign in. Hopefully that won't take a moment. And there we go. So that's Android Market loading. Probably have to accept terms and conditions. There we go. And there we have the indeed the latest version of Android Market loaded there. So we have all the categories. We can do a search. We can have a look at apps, for example. And they're in different categories: featured, top paid, top free, and so on. Books in a similar fashion by category, and then movies as well, again by category, for rental. So that's kind of cool. In terms of searching, I'm going to go and search for Quadrant to do a quick benchmark. We've been using Quadrant for a while, so it seems fairly fitting that we stick with that for just the time being, as it is going to give us a good comparison to other handsets that we've seen in the recent past. 1 GHz dual core processor, we'd expect it to go reasonably quickly. We pull down at the top, we can turn on and off the loudspeaker, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, near field and synchronization. Got playback controls there for audio. It's telling me that I can use only emergency phone calls right now. And then we have the fact that we've got the notification there and Quadrant has downloaded and installed. So we're going to run a full benchmark, which hopefully shouldn't take too long. And there we go, already underway. So we're going to run a series of tests and hopefully get an indication of the speed of the handset, and we'll look at that in terms of a benchmark against some other handsets as well. We're just going to run it through once just now because it will take a little while to do, but when we actually do the full review we tend to run it sort of maybe 10 to a dozen times and just take an average, because one thing that we've found with Quadrant and indeed some of the other benchmarking, in fact all benchmarking tools, they tend to be a little bit variable, so you can get sort of a reasonable range of results actually. So there we go, we're running at around 65 frames a second, as you can see there, dropping down to 50 at times, but that's really quite fast. 65 frames a second seems to be sort of a fairly solid result. And here again 65 frames a second, just a little more, a little less at times, but again running reasonably fast. And here too at 56 frames a second, and we're nearly done. There we go. Do want to proceed. Let's check out our results. And there we go, our device is pretty fast actually. It's a good result, 2,769. You can compare it there on the screen to the Galaxy Tab, Galaxy Nexus, Nexus S and so on. There as sort of by way of comparison to a couple of devices. But as I say, we'll run this a few times through when we do our full review to actually get a bit of a better idea of how that does stack up against other handsets, because if I was to run it again, I guarantee I'll get a different result. So there we go, that's just a quick look at the benchmarking tools anyway. And we go back into the other applications, see what else we've got. In terms of downloads that are going to be shown there now, the Google service, we've got some items there, so Google Maps for example, all in one place. I think let's skip that for now. It may take a moment or two, or it may not even pick up my location being indoors. But we do have standard implementation of Google Maps, tapping to zoom in. We can use 2 fingers to zoom, rotate around or zoom in and out. So it's kind of cool. Very straightforward though. YouTube we'll take a quick look at. We'll do a quick search for my YouTube account, which is Leo D. As you can see here, we've got quite a few videos. In actual fact, the one that you're watching here will, I think, be our 600th video. So happy birthday us, I guess. So this will be our 600th video. Been doing this quite a while. So let's pick one of these. I guess we ought to pick something from LG just to be fair. So let's have a look. Do another search for Whoops. Try again. There we go, let's do a search for that. And there we go, we've got a few LG handsets there that we've got picked up in this search, so let's take a look at the video for the Optimus 2X. Buffering. Still buffering. There we go. That's pretty quick, really. Rotating this way, does play full screen. That way, it's just in a window underneath which you've got related videos, comments, all that kind of stuff, info, bits and pieces about the actual video, and actual comments and responses to the video, which you can actually do inline. It is a standard implementation of a YouTube client for Android, but it's really quite good, and I always like showing it off, but it works quite nicely. So let's go back home, go back into those applications. We've got Gmail. That will actually have been starting to sync already, because there, as you can see, because it is associated with my Google account and I signed into Android Market, it does actually sign me into my Gmail as well, so that's kind of cool. In terms of everything else on here, we've got a navigation icon there. Let's see what else we have. In terms of applications, quick rundown. Well, we've got a calculator, that's very exciting. Downloads, contacts. I've started to synchronize some of my contacts, as you can see there. Already started to come down because, again, that's associated with my Gmail account. And you know, James there will be shown if I go back over here into, where are we, this way, favourite contacts. Again, that's associated with my Gmail account, so James, you are one of my favourites there, as you can see. I guess that's a kind of a quick look at the Prada phone by LG 3.0. We'll have a full review for you over the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's twitter.com/TracyandMatt, or indeed on Facebook, it's facebook.com/TracyandMatt.co.uk. Do please follow us and ask us any questions about this, any other phones that we've got at the moment. We'll do our best to answer you. We're actually running a competition at the moment as well, which you might want to go ahead and check out. It's really easy to enter. All you have to do is tweet and follow us on Twitter. If you want to pick one of these Prada phones up at the moment, Clove have them in stock, and they're shipping out at 400, well, just a penny under £430 at the time of recording the video. And I guess with any of those phones, it will gradually come down in price, but £430 at the moment on clove.co.uk, and our thanks for them to them for actually providing our review handset. In fact, I'm going to be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracyandmatt.co.uk, but for now, thanks for watching.
Bitdefender is dedicated to protecting people's digital lives, so working with unboxings.com to help preview and review the latest technology is a perfect fit.